Okay, we're going to look at a very basic iron palm workout. This is the first level or first step in developing good, strong hands for striking. And by strong, I mean able to, basically hit solid objects and not get injured. The body's ability to adapt is legendary, but there's a couple of different ways to develop that adaptation of strengthening versus deforming. If the training stimulus is too obnoxious, for instance, beating your hand against bricks to start with, you get arthritic deformations and calcifications that will actually limit the use of your hands. This is because the stimulus is too great, the damage is too great, the body's responding emergently. Over time, with more gradual development done every day with the maximum amount of healing ability allowed, you can develop greater strength and a higher degree of development without finding yourself with arthritis or deformed hands. That being said, the very first stages of this particular iron palm training looks like just about every other gradual first step training for iron palm training. This is, of course, the Chinese method of means. The external system of it is predominantly using the anatomy. For more internal training, there are other devices and means, but one of the things that you can do to make this both external as well as internal is focusing. So focusing on the exercise is kind of critical. So for this first level of training, the apparatus is quite simple. It is a bean bag. Chinese typically use mung beans because they have lots of mung beans. Any small dried bean should work, however. Use black beans because they're almost identical to mung beans in appearance and size. I've seen people use black eyed peas, but it needs to be a dried bean. Furthermore, I got a good solid made bag that I ordered online, which there are plenty of these available. I would say that it would be, a little bit more point of pride to make it yourself, especially if you have a hard time finding a good canvas bag. However, for the amount of time that it takes me to make one of these things myself, it's a lot cheaper and easier to order one. On top of that, when you order one, you can also find them with this nice zipper, which is very valuable because the goal is eventually to beat these beans to powder, or at least close to a third to a half of the volume as powder. To that end, you can unzip it, change the contents out, and also as you progress using other contents in the bags, you can keep reusing the same bag and just change the filler. The different types of filler would be a different video. However, for the beginning, one of the things that you need is a solid base of support to set said sandbag or beanbag on. The most readily usable surface is a good sturdy kitchen table directly over one of the legs. You want to put this right over top dead center of the leg. If you have good solid flooring, you're in business. If you have a floor that bounces when you move, you need to go outside and rethink your plan. You need a good solid base of support. A lot of times my setup is actually on cinder blocks downstairs on the basement floor where it's concrete laying directly on earth. That being said, there's also an opportunity for me to practice my stance training. So stance training is very important. It builds up the legs. It also builds up your legs' endurance, springiness, and speed of movement. We incorporate both the horse stance and the striking of the bags together to try to create a well-balanced routine and exercise. That being said, the primary positions in which you're going to strike the bag with your hand is going to start off with just a basic palm. Then you're going to flip over, do the basic backhand, and then you're going to do the basic knife edge. This is where your stance training really has to be advanced, because the next thing you're going to do in your stance training whenever you're doing this is you're going to slip into a forward serpent stance, and you're going to do a ridge hand right across the side edge of the bag. Notice I'm not over, I am like right along the edge. The bag will deform around the hand instead of the hand deforming around the bag. So I keep my anatomy fully on the beans at all times with each one of these strikes. Now, after I slip down into that ridge hand, I come back up with a tiger claw. Now, a lot of people, when they do the tiger claw, will also strike with the heel of the hand. I go back and forward. It kind of depends on what I'm working on, more focused at the time. And then, of course, you circle around and come back for the beak. Those of you that also practice the spear hand, you're not going to get as much out of throwing a spear hand, but it doesn't hurt to like slip that in there. This one is not the ideal exercise for spear hand work. That being said, the palm strikes are going to be palm, backhand, knife edge, ridge hand, tiger claw, crane beak. So that is one. That's one rep. Then you go back through and do it again. So the bag is best with uniform surfaces. The spear hand is not as advantageous because you're not getting good contact with these two fingers no matter what you do. You don't want to leave them completely out of an exercise. If you're going to do spear hand, you're going to need a bucket of sand and a whole nother lesson. Now this first step is easy to take with you. Well, to be honest, it's 10 pounds. So it's 10 pounds of dried beans, but it's a single bag. So it can fit anywhere and go with you. Now, as important as uniformity is, especially early on in development, this makes this part of the exercise a little easier. You can put this on a concrete porch. You can put it on a loading dock. You can put it on a sidewalk. Although your stance training is going to really not be your favorite thing in life, but into that one. You can put it on a set of stairs. You can put this on any surface that is really solid and well surfaced and be able to do the exercise. So that being said, before and after the exercise, don't worry, there's no dust coming out because the beans inside the bag are also in plastic. So before and after the exercise, you want to try to soak your hands in hot water. Predominantly more so after the exercise longer than before the exercise. That causes the circulation to come to the sinews and tissue of the hand. The next great thing to have on hand is a bruise liniment. There is one that you can buy online called Dit Da Jow. There are a couple of formulas, and if they ask you which one you want, you can tell them that you're doing Ironpalm training, and the bruise liniment for Ironpalm training is a little different than the standard straight bruise liniment. So that one is going to be your best bet. It's usually reasonably affordable, but look for the older stuff. Try to get it as old as possible, and get a decent supply so that you can put some back. The older the Dit Da Jow is, the more effective it is, and you can get a lot more of that and put it back for storage to help it age. Write your purchase day down and what the age was at the time, and kind of keep track of your supply that way. As you use your next bottle, you buy a bottle or two to take its place and put it in the back of the line to use. That way you have like a decent solid supply of the stuff to use. As far as how much do you use, it's best to use it before and after. So before and after each, and enough to cover all skin surfaces of the hands and fingertips. You don't want to leave out the fingertips. You want to get between the fingers as well when you're using that stuff. Some other hand exercises to add to this is get standard oil-based clay, modeling clay from your local whatever, Amazon store, anywhere they sell school supplies, and work that until it's soft. Put it in a Ziploc bag, put it in the fridge, and the next day get it back out, knead it until it's soft again, put it back in the Ziploc bag, throw it in the fridge. Do that once a day, do this exercise once a day, and keep that up until you have either reduced this stuff to at least a third of it to dust, which on average for dried beans is about somewhere between 30 and 50,000 strikes on the bag. Math. But you don't want to do more than 25 to 50 strikes on the bag per day. So you want to keep it in a certain respectable effort without going overboard, so that you maintain a balanced, gradual development. Otherwise, you are going to find yourself dealing with issues like arthritis. Now, one of the things that you have to keep in mind is your body will tell you a lot. So when you feel that the way you're striking the bag is hurting, when you feel that it hurts, you need to look at, number one, your form, and number two, how hard are you striking the bag. So this one right here is a considerable one to be weary of, because your back of your hand is not very well padded. This wrist part right here is not very well padded. So when you strike that, if you strike it wrong or too hard during this exercise, you will feel a twinge of pain. Whatever hurts right there, you kind of need to recalibrate, maybe back off, don't hit quite as hard, and then also likewise calibrate how you're striking these. So you want to try to keep the striking even for even development. Starting off, this part of your hand is going to be a lot tougher. You're just used to doing more with it. There's padding there, and it is a work surface normally. But you want this strike to be about the same as this strike. So as long as you've got those even, these other surfaces will catch up with this surface. And as you develop that evenly, you will develop a lot of strength and a lot of endurance with your hands that will give you a whole different level of tools for what we're doing. So enjoy that, and I'll talk to you next time.